Dylan. Dylan, are you ready? Is that what you're doing? You getting ready? Alright, so I have the corgis, I have the books. Everywhere is absolute chaos, but we're going to jump into my October wrap-up. I was going to do a combined October-November wrap-up, but then I realized how long the video would be, and so we're splitting it up. Alright, so yeah, let's jump into October. I read around, I think, 7 books that I'm going to tell you about today. So the first up is Learned by Heart by Emma Donoghue. I already have a vlog where I talk about this book. I find it really fascinating that this book has stayed with me for so long. I think that's always a good sign. But also, like, thinking about Emma Donoghue and all the different kinds of things she's written, she just really does well with historical fiction, but she does all these different time periods. I also keep thinking about Eliza and Anne and their relationship, and I don't know, I find it really fascinating. So, okay, so next up is Opinions by Roxane Gay, and this is a collection of essays and interviews with celebrities, advice columns. She does cultural criticism. There's a little bit of everything, and she reads the audiobook of this, and I found it really interesting to catch up on Roxane Gay's essays. I haven't read really essays of hers since I read Bad Feminist. I read her memoir and her short story collection, but I feel like Roxane Gay can do it all. So but yeah, if you enjoy Roxane Gay, it's more of the same. I didn't find it uniquely compelling, but more just a collection of more like one-off essays collected together. So this is really interesting if you're interested already in the topic or interested in Roxane Gay. If you're not a Roxane Gay fan, then maybe you could skip it. I don't know. Maybe other people have more adamant opinions about it, but I was just like, okay, that's cool, you know? So the next one I have is Study for Obedience by Sarah Bernstein. This was shortlisted for the Booker. I reviewed the audiobook for AudioFile magazine, and the concept is that this unnamed woman is going to an unnamed country, and she's caring for her brother's house. She doesn't speak the language, even though she speaks several other languages, and the people around her are not great. They begin blaming her for weird things that are happening, like a dog's phantom pregnancy and just odd things, and they start blaming her for them. This is a metaphor for anti-Semitism and what that looks like, and I find that a really interesting concept, but I'm not sure the execution is entirely there. But a lot of people have really loved this book. It is very beautiful in parts, and it really is something different that I've never read before. If I did stars, it would probably be like a 3-star book. I might be very interested in other things that Sarah Bernstein has written. Very interesting concept. Very interested to see what Canadian Jewish readers think of it as well. Because again, I am not Jewish or Canadian, so I'd be interested in what people think. But yeah, that'll be like a 3-star read for me. It was fine. Okay, so now we're moving on to physical books that I'm going to tell you about. So the next book I'm going to tell you about is Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas, and this is more a romance novel with a dash of horror. And Nena and Nestor are best friends growing up, and when they're kids, they run off to go find buried treasures one time at night, and Nena is attacked by some unknown beast. Nestor grabs her, takes her back to the main house, and we then learn that Nena is the daughter of this guy that owns a lot of property, and Nestor's family works for her dad. It's a whole thing, and he feels that he's going to get in trouble, which he is not incorrect. Nena's mom declares her, "Oh my goodness, my daughter has died." Nestor runs away thinking that Nena has died, and we then fast forward in time. We know that Nena is not dead, but she still bears the scars from being attacked. Nestor thinks that she is dead this whole time until, for whatever reason, he goes back to the ranch where Nena lives, and he discovers she's alive. we fall into this kind of different world where vampires are these like fantastical beasts that attack people and kill people, and that they're not like turning people into vampires as we would think. It's more like the name that they're using for the beast is vampire, but it's not like how we would think vampire. So it's really light on the horror. They only show up at different times. Most of this is a relationship kind of romance novel. So I found it really interesting. I wish there were more horror elements in it, honestly, but it is a fun read. So I talked about this on Read or Dead, one of the podcasts that I'm on regularly, and it was a fun read. It was a fun read. I would read more from this author for sure, but it's not really horror, you know? It's horror romance. Step back romantasy. Horror romance is here to take the day. The next book I have is actually more horror-ish, and that is And Then She Fell by Alicia Elliott. This is by a Mohawk author, and it features Alice, who lives in Canada with her white husband. They have a baby named Dawn together, and Alice seems to have the perfect life. They have their own house, and her husband has a really nice job at the university. He's studying Mohawk culture and language so he can know her and her people better. At the same time, though, he doesn't want her relatives to come help with the baby. Now the baby's a month old, 6 weeks old, however long it's been, because he thinks they should stand on their own. But in her culture, the women of her family would be over at their house all the time helping her care for the baby because they understand that sense of community. So he's kind of removed her from community and she's on her own. She's experiencing what I think we could call postpartum depression. And she starts, at first what seemed like hallucinations. We kind of do this flashback situation where we see that when she was a teenager, Disney's Pocahontas talks to her from the TV screen and freaks her out, and she starts seeing things again. And we don't know what's true and what's not. So this is a fascinating look at postpartum depression, at the violence of settler colonialism, as she experienced it as a Indigenous woman in Canada. And so it is a fascinating read. Just as a heads up, there is depictions of violence towards infants and children. Just as a heads up, it is also a horror novel, so lots of violence all around. I found this book fascinating. There's a lot of Alice in Wonderland themes, and there's a second narrator that comes in at the end. I don't want to tell you about who that narrator is or even anything about them because that is a spoiler, and this book is best read knowing nothing for the most part going into it. So would definitely recommend And Then She Fell by Alicia Elliott. It is so different, and you just have to buckle your seatbelt and get ready to go. Like, this is gonna be a wild ride of a story for sure. The last book I'm going to tell you about today is Hallie Hill's Good Women Stories. This is out from Hub City Press, which is a local press here in South Carolina. I interviewed Hallie Hill for Read Appalachia, and I love talking to her about her work and about her stories. And these stories are all about Black women who are from or living in East Tennessee, and really looking at what it's like to be a Black Appalachian woman in our, modern times. It sounds like a very grand statement, but I really appreciated how each of these, I think there's 12 stories in here, they each feature a woman, a Black woman or girl who's confronting what society deems is good for her to be. What is a good woman? What is a good Black woman? What does that look like? And each woman / girl is faced with the task of interacting with that and making some choices. They're all so good, so deeply meaningful. I really appreciated all the many things that Hallie Hill has captured with this collection. It is possibly one of my favorite books of the year. I don't want to give any spoilers, but it's in the running. It's definitely in the running. I adore this collection. If I were to compare it to something else, I think Deesha Philiel's The Secret Lives of Church Lady would be a comparison you could make, but they're still very different. They're very different. The style, the feel to them are different. They're both excellent. and they do feature Black women in the South, but I feel like the style is very different in a lot of ways. So I don't know. I'll be interested to hear people who've read both of these, what your thoughts are. There are a couple of other short story collections that came out from Black women from Appalachia that I still need to get my hands on. So I will update you when I have them. Okay, so those are the books that I read in October. I had a really rough October, I will say. I did not read a ton of things. Yeah, but November I definitely did, so I will return here shortly with even more books to tell you about. But until then, happy reading, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye.